Welcome to We Got Goals, a podcast on asweatlife.com on which we talk to high achievers about their goals. I'm Kristen Guile. I am the Chief Content Officer of asweatlife.com. We have Stephen Lease. He is the co-founder of Goodr. And Stephen, I'm going to take a second to read your very official and very professional biography. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Stephen's spirit animal is an octopus. He's soul bonded with a basset hound, and he is 16% flamingo. And as an aside, I would argue maybe more based on your current aesthetic journey. He is currently the CEO, Chief Executive Octopus of the sunglasses brand Goodr, and the co-host of the Culture Goodr podcast. Since Stephen co-founded Goodr in 2015, his sixth company, Goodr has grown to over 75 employees, is sold in over 3,000 doors worldwide, and has won numerous awards, including Gear of the Year by Runner's World magazine and Best Places to Work by Inc. magazine. He would love it if all of this were due to his brand building knowledge and emotional intelligence, but he admits that it's mostly due to surrounding himself with people smarter, nicer, and funner than him. Stephen, that is quite a biography.
I think it accurately describes who I am, though, so it fits perfectly.
All right, I hear a lot of your voice in it. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I think what I realized when you were reading that is I got to update it because I think we're almost over 100 employees in about 5,000 doors now worldwide.
Wow. Okay. Noted. For the official record, we now have the of the biography. And for the listeners at home who can't see us, I am wearing my favorite pair of Goodr sunglasses. I think these are the flamingo. No, these are the influencers in the wild.
Influencers pay double.
Influencers paid double. And Stephen, which ones are you wearing?
These are brand new ones. These actually launch next week. These are Squawking on Sunshine. They're like a flamingo print.
Perfect. Well, this podcast episode will come out next week. We are recording in the past for the listeners at home. So you will have the chance to be one of the first to own those. Stephen, I have dominated the conversation in our first couple of minutes. So now it's your turn. I would love to hear a little more about your journey, your previous 5 companies that you founded, and how you got to where you are sitting in front of a very strong statement wall in a Zoom with me today.
Yeah. You know, it's funny talking about high achievers. I'm clearly a high achiever at this point in my life. And when I think back, I found my stride later in life of like what drove me. I really struggled in high school and college. I barely graduated both. And it's shocking to people to meet me now because that's fascinating because I've just found things I love. So I think that's just a really important thing for me to know. And when you hear my bio, it's like everybody thinks it's this like fairy tale. And it kind of is, except for we've had major problems. And like you said, this is the 6th company I've either started or been a part of starting. The other 5 failed to some degree or another. Success, failure. And so I think there's a lot of learnings in there. And we are here today because of just the work that has been put in.
Yeah. So you were a late bloomer is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just didn't resonate with school. I was really a really good problem solver. I started working really young and loved work. And so just school and reading comprehension was not my thing. And I mean, my 2 favorite things in the world are spell check and the fact that everything now I consume audio because I hate reading.
Yep, that makes sense. Well, tell me about the first 5 companies you founded that failed and how they got you to this place today.
Yeah, nothing actually tied to sunglasses or running, because we started as a run brand originally. There was a really high-end industrial water treatment company. I started with my dad when I was 23. Really bizarre, but as a 22, 23-year-old, I was putting on a shirt and tie and selling $150,000 water treatment systems to golf courses. And
this looks like the exact opposite of what you are right now.
It is the exact opposite. But when you're that young, putting on a shirt and tie gives you credibility. And I self-taught myself how to do sales pitches and build websites from scratch and marketing. And that was a gift there. And so there was that. There was a company called Mimosis, which was basically shower shower filters that with cities with bad water. I started with my partner, Carrie, a company called Style Movement, which is mobile salons and, thinking of food trucks, but salons, and had a production company. And I'm missing something in there, but just different things. I was very much all right, let me try it. Does it work? No, great. And everything started as a side hustle. Some things ended up being permanent for a while and then they worked.
Nice. And I've read the Goodr origin story where he realized quite abruptly that running sunglasses looked like absolute crap. So walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I got into running later in life. So I didn't run my first marathon till 2012. And then, 5 years later, I'm running 100-mile ultras. But in that journey, really, if for those who are watching, but if those of you who know me, I'm really into fashion and fun and realized that running sunglasses had three major problems. They're ugly, they're really expensive, and they were over-engineered. And so our brief for Goodr was to make them fun and fashionable, affordable, and performance without the extra bullshit. And so that's what we did. And that's what that was the problem we saw and the solution to launch the brand. Yeah.
I can vouch for that. Before I found Goodr sunglasses, my go-to running sunglasses were part of a 30 pack of the party favor sunglasses that you get on Amazon. Yep. They're kind of like the Wayfarer type, but they're neon and plastic. And I was like, you know what? I don't care if I scratch them up. I don't care if I lose them. I don't care if a car runs over them. I'm just going to buy these in bulk and I'm going to cycle through them. But then I found Goodr and I've been loving them. I've got 2 pairs that I rotate between. And the price point is amazing because it's just enough that I'm like, ooh, this is a great quality, but not enough that I am deterred from buying another pair when I feel the urge.
Yeah, for the listeners out there, it's $25 and $35. Those are our only 2 price points. And a lot of things what you said are why the company was started. I used to just buy $10 gas station Wayfair sunglasses, and then when you know about the eyewear, when you start learning about the eyewear industry, you realize how much you're overcharged for a lot of sunglasses. So for us, we're super efficient, and we run a pretty tight company, so we're able to charge a lot less at a high quality, and it's been fun.
You say you run a super tight ship, so you're really efficient, and yet you're still growing a lot. Those stats you just told me, you've grown by 30% over the past since your bio was last updated. So how have you balanced that out, the growth with still maintaining, especially with such a strong company culture? I always think that's interesting how companies maintain that culture while still scaling.
Yeah. So a bunch of things. One, we own our own company. And so there's good and bad. The good is we can do what we want. The bad is we don't have deep pocketbooks. And so when that's the case, you learn to spend money just, more efficiently. And you don't, these bright, shiny things out there, we actually can't get them because we can't afford them. Yeah. Which has really helped. From the beginning, our culture we've had our culture the way it is from the beginning. And I love sunglasses and I love the brand, but really the benefit for me of running a successful company is to do all the fun culture stuff that I always wanted to do. Yeah. And so, from the beginning, we're really detailed. Every person here has a detailed role deck of their job, what they do, what their deliverables are, weekly, monthly, quarterly. There's a quarterly review, there's constant feedback loops. And we built that from the ground up, where every department here, there's 13 of them, has their own values, what wins look like, their weekly team meetings. So legit, it's all digital, but if you were printed out, there would just be a giant book of how our businesses ran. And it's been, so I think that is really we're very big on clarity, understanding what wins look like. And then how we keep the culture the same is we evolve it as we go, because the fool's gold is thinking we can keep the culture the exact same of a 20-person company as a 100-person company. We have to evolve it. But the big thing is, how do we evolve it the right way and keep the essence of what we want to do here?
Mm-hmm. Well, not to mention, you've had to figure out how to maintain or evolve that company culture over a global pandemic. How has that gone for you?
For sure. We were fortunate in a sense that even before the pandemic, we were a super remote company. So you only had to be in the office Tuesday, Thursday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday was optional for everyone. And so we had everything set up to already be super virtual. So that transition was easy company culture wise. Obviously, the not being in person for a long time was a big struggle. So there's culture. And then from a business standpoint, we lucked out. We were good and we lucked out. We pivoted quickly. We cut our expenses to zero. We really focused on what we thought would move the needle. And for us, we had a really strong direct consumer business. So I always joke that we hit COVID Plinko in a sense that you drop the ball in. All right, pivot quickly, stop spending money. Ding, 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 pivot quickly. Goodr.com is really strong. So put energy there. Ding, ding, ding. The only thing people can do right now is be outside and play golf and run. Ding, ding, ding. In an economic downturn, you're a $25 price point. Like we win. And there's we got lucky in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so impressed. And I will vouch that your direct to consumer experience, the website is actually really fun and enjoyable. And I'm a copywriter and a words person. And that's the first thing I've noticed about the Goodr website is just how well you use your words.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the official questions of this podcast, the goal related questions. So we'll start with the first one, as we always do. What is a goal that you've had in the past? Why was it important to you? And how did you achieve it?
For sure. I mean, I can go through any number of goals. I've really kind of tricked myself into, I'm a big process person. I believe in celebrating the work over the result. And so if you're training for a marathon, I've had time goals, right? I've had really low time goals in a marathon. But for me, it's all about, all right, you got to get out and you got to run this many miles a week. And that's the focus. Like if you do that every week for 6 months, the result will come. And so, for sure, infinite amount of races is a huge one. And then one that's, this year, starting in January, some people around here, we started with 35 push-ups a day. And we added on 5 a week. And then we got to where we were doing a set of 100. And then what we realized is our form was garbage. So we hit 100, then we reset after July 4th to perfect push-ups, and we're adding on 1 a week. And so back down to like 20, but they have to be perfect. And so those are just 2 examples. And then I also, randomly, as I have a goal right now to do gratitude practice 5 days a week, meditate 5 days a week, call somebody a member of my family 1 day a week. And so I have a pretty intricate system of a lot of different goals.
You are incredibly organized, and it seems also very deliberate about the goals you choose. Like, it doesn't seem like you just throw a dart at a wall and hope it sticks and like aimlessly chase after it. For sure. I believe in controlled chaos. And so what I mean by that is I like to have fun. And so how do I can create the right containers that I can play in however I want? I don't believe in really, I do vision boards for sure. And I kind of put aspirational things on there, but I don't really set goals like I want to live in a mansion in 5 years, or I want to be the CEO of a 100-person company. Like that was, those are never goals. Cause I think you have a carrot mindset instead of the work ethic mindset. And so that's it. But really at the end of the day, all these systems are designed because I love the process. I love the work. And like, I always joke, I love getting what I want. And getting what I want, I have to do right in my mind. Well, if I want this, I got to do all this work ahead of time. And so there's also just a thing that's very true around that, Chris. It's like, this is how I get what I want. Yeah, perfect. You've got it all mapped out. You've got the goods. You know what's up. Let's talk a little bit about mixing entrepreneurship with friendship, because you co-founded Goodr with a friend of yours, right? Yeah, it's Carrie, Ben, and I. We all went to high school together. Class of 2000, and Carrie's my ex-life partner. We were together when we started the brand. So we were together for 13 years. Ben's one of my best friends. So like there's 3 of us that are, really, really tight here. Yeah. how do you manage those relationships when you are chasing these big goals and, working in, I imagine working for Goodr is as low stress as you can possibly make it, but it's still a stressful thing to be in charge of 100 people.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we've been very fortunate, right? Where we get along, we have complementary skill sets. There's a lot of egos that we're like we don't have a lot of ego here. And, what everybody does is kind of, so we just been very fortunate in that aspect, right? There was never like a fight for who wanted to be CEO. My other Carrie and Ben are like, that's the last job I want. Like I've heard them, say that before. And so we're very fortunate in that mindset. Also, there's been a ton of other friends that have worked here. Some of them still do, and some of them don't. So there's also been other sides of that where it was fun for a while, and then it just didn't make sense because, like I've told actually everybody here a different version of this, is we're doing something really special at this company. Our culture is amazing. People love it. How we're connecting with the consumer. And I'm not going to fuck this up for you or you or you or you or anybody else here. And so there's been, there's been other sides of it than like the glossy Carrie, Ben and I side that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're committed to everyone. And I feel like that commitment really shows through in how you engage with your employees and how you help them set goals and, fit in these buckets of controlled chaos that you spoke about.
Yeah. And I'm committed to the truth, right? Of like, hey, we give feedback quarterly, open feedback. Where do you stand? And usually here at Goodr, when people leave, the fit stops working. Like I'm sick of just getting this feedback. It's like, that is also okay. Like that's also that's actually a good thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you walk through creating these goals and these processes and what looks like what these wins for your employees look like? What's sort of your process for helping other people set goals and define those wins?
Yeah, for sure. The bigger we get, the harder it gets. But it starts with anytime we have a new role at the company, there's a whole process to pitch the role. And you have to create the job posting, the elaborate role deck, what their responsibilities, what are their deliverables. And so that from the beginning, so everybody who comes in, there's a template for what success looks like. Mm-hmm. But we never reward or punish people. Like there's no sales target goals, right? We have a revenue goal that we're trying to hit, but if your channel's not hitting that, you're not getting dinged and if your channel's over that, we have no commission here. But it's like, all right, cool. Are you doing the things daily? Are you doing X, Y, and Z? Are you following the process and believing the results will come? And so there's a lot of message repeat on that. And I would say, yeah, outlining weekly, monthly, quarterly deliverable, like tangible things. Cause you can't just say like work hard, right? That's not a thing. So actual deliverables, actual processes in place. And then we're all going to fuck up. And so the fool's gold the optical illusion isn't thinking that everybody's going to be perfect. It's just understanding that you have to nudge people at certain times, present company included. I also need to be nudged.
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm hearing a lot of too is that you are very prescriptive instead of very reactive. You're not just creating positions because TikTok's blowing up and now you need a new social media person just for that.
For sure. And right, there's a lot of, yes, that is very true. And then also we want to be more nimble. TikTok's a really good example where Carrie, who's co-founder, she's all the cool content you see her team makes. She, I think, was at Ad Week in like 2018 or 19 and saw this thing on TikTok. And now she goes, I thought to myself, we got to be on TikTok, but oh no, we're not going to do that because we have to hire a new person. And she for sure regrets just not pursuing that because in this world, we for sure want to be very deliberate, but also how do we be opportunistic too? And so it's a dance that we're learning as we go.
Yeah. And I mean, the example of TikTok is especially conducive because it's all reaction, like to the latest meme, the latest sound, the latest dance.
Yes.
It has to be kind of messy and kind of quick. And I think that's the content that really thrives on there. If you're asking me.
For sure. No, I agree. And I haven't seen any monetization models that work. And so you have to be able to invest it, just be okay with the messiness and the learn as you go. And so we're actually getting ready to launch on TikTok. I don't know, I think this month. And all the things that you said is true. We have to be quick. We have to be okay with the messiness of it. And when you're a high producer, like we are, like top tier content, there's an uncomfortableness we're living right now, Kristen, going into this world.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let's move on towards our second big question. Tell me about a goal that you have for the future and why it's important to you and how you're working towards it.
So what's really interesting is I've also in the goal world, I've been playing with this mindset a little bit because goals, if your goal is to run a 3-hour marathon, you are a failure until that goal happens. And so how do you set intentions? So I've kind of been playing with actually just the language of the word goals in general. I'm like, all right, well, this is my intention because it frees it up. But we're emotionally intelligent enough to understand that if you run a 3-hour and 1 minute marathon, your goal is 2:59. It is not a failure, right? And so I want to get that out there because I think it's an interesting conversation around goals and intentions and what they mean.
Noted and clarified.
So right now I am getting ready to move, and so a lot of things I have paused. But coming out of the move, I have two big things that I want to set a goal on. Is I've always wanted to learn to play an instrument. And so I've went in and out of ukulele. There's actually ukulele hanging on my wall over there. So I'm going to set a goal to just play the ukulele for 30 minutes a day. That's the goal. For 6 months and see where that goes. So like, I believe, so that's one. And then a goal in the next 2 years is I want to spend 30 days, 2 times a year, not living in LA. So working remotely. So that might be living in Europe. And so those are things that I like one is a very tangible thing. The other one, I need to figure, I don't have the action plan yet to put in place to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's on your vision board. You're putting up the Eiffel Tower and, different Roman relics and all that stuff to get there.
Yeah. Cause I love work. So I don't want to just like take a bunch of, I take a ton of vacation, probably one of the highest achievers of the company in vacation standpoint, but I take a lot of 3-day weekends and 4-day weekends. I'm not a big 30-day off at a time person because I don't actually like that.
Yeah. Well, I also think the way that you're framing it as working from another location will fill your creative juices in another way. Like, I think that gives you a lot of new motivation, new inspiration. You're surrounded by new people, new ideas, new visions. I think it could actually be really beneficial to you to do that. Yeah,
I agree. And I think I would, when I do it, the goal would be to work like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. And so you can actually enjoy the area you're in. But I agree. Like the energy comes from the surroundings in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Any particular destinations in mind?
So I think I would do kind of the top of the list are Tokyo, Paris, and then London. London is, I'll probably do an English speaking country the first time in full transparency, because it's just an easier mental lift. But yeah, those are kind of the ones that are at the top.
Awesome. And then how is your ukulele experience going?
Good. Well, Sean, who's the co-host of Culture Goodr podcast, is a legit musician. And so he'll teach me, and I went through waves of it. But the reality is once do you play an instrument, Kristen?
I grew up playing piano. So I can read music. I'm familiar with it. No room for a piano in aforementioned small condo.
Yeah, though that's why I got a ukulele, because of
portable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. And there's only 4 chords, and I can't read music, but I went through ways of doing songs. And the first time you play like a part of a song that you know, right? And you like, even like if it's like a Beatles song and you know it, it's like a hit of dopamine that's very real.
Yeah. You're like, I cracked this code. My dad we have piano at my childhood home, and he uses this music app, and I mess around with it when I'm home, and I learned how to play a Taylor Swift song over Christmas. And I was just like, I am the fucking coolest. Like no one has ever reached these levels. And, I'm like plinking it out. Like my fingers aren't nimble enough anymore to remember how to play chords and do long stretches, but still like, yeah, it is a really fun feeling. And, with no real, there's no real finish line for that, right? It's just having.
Yeah. And I think, talking about goals, I believe you've ever read Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game.
Mm-mm.
Well, kind of this idea of the goal of an infinite game is actually just to play as long as possible, right? There might be small gains inside the infinite game, and it's a really important mindset because here at Goodr, the work never ends, right? The work never ends. It is infinite. And so you better love the work. If you're a runner, there might be races in there. And so that mindset of just really enjoying what you're doing is super important. Cooking is another one. I love cooking. If you cook, then you get to play in that game every day. And that's a cool place to be.
It was a shock to me over the pandemic to realize that I had to make the choice of what to eat 3 times a day, at least for the rest of my life. Like there was just a day where I was just like, I don't care. Just give me a Soylent smoothie. Like just someone give me calories.
Oh, you're not wrong, because although I love to cook, for breakfast, I eat the exact same thing every day. It's a piece of bread. It's a piece of like wheat sprouted bread with peanut butter on it. And then I order a salad from a Sweet Greens every day for lunch. And so dinner I cook, but the effort of every meal every day is actually too much.
I've been reading this book called The Lazy Genius, and It's about how to train your brain to like make certain decisions easier so that you can devote your brain space to the things that actually matter. And that's one of the suggested strategies in the book, is about deciding every day for breakfast, you're going to have the same thing. You only have to make that decision once until you're sick of that breakfast.
Yeah, I agree with that mindset. I believe that's really important. I mean, I couldn't get there, but it's why, one of the reasons Steve Jobs just wore the exact same thing every day was it was one less thing you had to think about. Now, I clearly can't, like that's my one vice in the world is just, floral print shirts, but yeah. I understand the mindset and I do it in other ways.
I'm going to let you go here in a couple minutes, but before I do, I want to do a quick lightning round of questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Your spirit animal is an octopus. Why is that?
Octopuses are world-class problem solvers. So am I. They like to have their tentacles and everything. And I am a jack of all trades, and they're incredibly unique. And I think I am too.
I love that answer. You in your bio said you're soul bonded with a basset hound. I would love for you to take 30 minutes to tell me everything about this basset hound. 30 seconds. Oh,
30 seconds.
Not 30 minutes. I would take it, but we have.
Yeah. So Bosley passed away in 2020, early 2020, I believe. Sorry, my years are getting confused. And I had Bosley for 12 years. He was the king of kings. Bosley Basset Hound Dreams is a pair of glasses we have named after him. And I, growing up, always had dogs, never had a basset hound, always wanted one. And then when was old enough, got one. So it was Carrie, my dog. And there's, those things in life where you really want it, and then you get it, and you have to kind of make a decision. Does it live up to the expectation? And Bosley just surpassed it in every single way. And so, yeah, love him more than anything. And I will get a basset hound here, another basset hound here soon.
We have some cute pictures of you with a lot of dogs to include on this podcast post. Favorite pair of Goodr sunglasses to rock?
Well, my favorite pair, so 2 favorite pairs, Bosley's Basset Hound Dreams, and then this actually pair right here, this is Flamingos on a Booze Cruise. First pair we ever made, designed, named. The brand is built on this pair. The essence of it is in it. It will always be my favorite. I don't actually ever believe it will change.
Most essential piece of running gear that is not a pair of Goodrs?
Oh, you know what's interesting is, probably a tank top. I'm pretty shoe agnostic, and
That is rare.
Yeah, we have different partners at Goodr, and so it's kind of like, who are we partnered with? Who gives me free shoes? But I like wearing a tank top. I don't like sleeves on, so for sure, a tank top.
I'm with you. I feel restricted if I run in anything other than shorts. Like running in leggings, it's not for me. And then lastly, tell us the story behind the flamingo as the mascot of Goodr.
Yeah, man, it's super. So Flamingo's on a booze cruise. This class is, we started off writing origin stories for all of the names of our glasses. And so if you go to our website, you can go to any of them, and there's a really in-depth, elaborate, absurd, theater of the absurd origin story. And Ben, my partner, wrote this one here, and in there, just one line, he talks about us being on a booze cruise with the king of flamingos, Carl. Flash forward, we're launching the brand in 2015 from Carrie and I's apartment downtown LA. Using Stitch Station, there's a place you have to write the return address, and there's it's like Goodr, our address, but there's a place for your name, and I just wrote Carl the Flamingo just as a joke. People love it. Who's Carl the Flamingo? And then it took on a world of its own. Then we created, users started using him as an icon, and now he has his own Instagram feed. But it really just sprung from that one story.
Wait, I didn't know this. Can you plug Carl's Instagram feed real quick?
Yeah, it's just Carl the Flamingo. I think it's Carl the Flamingo I think it's just at Carl the Flamingo. And then this Carl that you see here will be featured on our TikTok when we launch it. It's actually just gonna be Carl's TikTok for us.
Amazing. I'm sure he's going to come up with some great content for all of us.
Yeah, he's a troublemaker, but we love him.
Stephen, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This is your moment of shameless self-promotion. Where else can we find you on the internet? Where can we listen to your podcast? Where can we find Goodr?
Awesome, Kristen. This has been wonderful. So I'm at Stephen Lease, StephenLease, the Culture Goodr podcast. You can search Culture Goodr anywhere you get your podcast. We're also on Instagram at Culture Goodr, and the brand at Goodr, Goodr, or Goodr.com. And you search us, we'll be there. And then we're in, a ton of stores too. So we're everywhere.
Everywhere. 5,000 doors and counting.
Yep.
Awesome.
Correct.
Thank you, Stephen, so much for being on the podcast. This has been another episode of We Got Goals. Thank you to Ryan Deffitt for editing the audio. Thank you to Ryan Berryuga for editing the video. And thanks to you for listening. We will see you next week with another episode of We Got Goals.